Of all our conference campgrounds, Living Springs near Lewistown, Illinois, has perhaps the most colorful history. The story begins in 1904, when Native Americans were tasked with drilling for oil on the Eppler farm. They struck water at 500 feet, at 1,500 feet, and finally at 2,400 feet hit artesian water. Water under so much pressure that it gushed out with such force that the drilling rig was destroyed. They never did strike oil. The water was found to have a high sulfur and mineral content, which at that time was considered therapeutic. The place was named Eppler Springs after the farm owner. Mr. Eppler quickly took advantage of the spring and built a mineral bath, along with a hotel and a dance hall. The springs were so popular that there was even a railroad spur that came to the site. In addition to the hotel and dance hall, smaller cabins were built so that those who enjoyed the therapeutic waters could then enjoy the company of ladies of the evening. Yes, our campground once housed a brothel. These weren't the only entertainments. Eppler Springs was also a place to have your moonshine jugs filled, especially during Prohibition. It was during Prohibition that the Internal Revenue Service became suspicious of Mr. Eppler's business dealings, and so to avoid the grounds being seized, he deeded the property to his mother. She might have been a member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Being unhappy with the liquor and carrying on, she promptly sold the grounds to the conference for pennies on the dollar. The first several years of church ownership saw the location used in a much more family-friendly way. Camp meetings, revivals, and other activities were held on the grounds. The purchase included what is now the lower campgrounds, the tabernacle, and the hillside. The pools were a big hit and well used. The artesian well ran about 80,000 gallons of water a day. Each evening the pools were drained and cleaned, and by the next morning the well had filled them with fresh 76-degree water. Due to licensing regulations with the state, campgrounds could no longer be located in floodplains, so the conference purchased the farm at the top of the hill. It was a working farm, and in fact, during World War II, it was used to grow hemp for making ropes for the war effort. The Hilltop was purchased in 1965, and in 1968 the manager's residence was built, followed by the lodge, the dam for the pond, and the first pool in 1970. The current pool replaced the former one in 1980. The cabins on the hillside were built from 1947 to 1952, and in the fall of 1987, several were moved to the hilltop to create another campground. In May of 1988, disaster struck when the lodge burned to the ground. The hilltop site then became the center of our camping ministry as we scrambled to get 2 cabins connected for an activity center and dining hall, and all the other cabins up and running. Thanks to a variance from the state of Illinois and volunteer help from dozens of people and organizations, camp was able to continue. The conference voted to rebuild the lodge as quickly as possible. The Fellheimer Trust proposed a $100,000 matching grant for reconstruction, and within 9 months the funds were raised, which along with the insurance settlement resulted in our current lodge being dedicated in 1990. In 1998, the multi-purpose building was built, along with the RV park. In 2007, disaster struck again, when a huge tree toppled onto the lodge, damaging several rooms. Fortunately, ministry was able to continue during repair. In 2008, we celebrate 80 years of camping ministry on this site. The earlier uses of the location have given way to safe, family-friendly, and legal activities. Whether it's Eppler Springs, Eppler Springs, or Living Springs, The goal continues to be the same: to make disciples for Jesus Christ. Tens of thousands of people have passed through these gates, and countless have entered into ministry because of the camping program. Some have gone to the professional ministry, but many more have continued their discipleship as lay people, touching and influencing their churches and communities in thousands of ways. It is with gratitude that we remember all those who have made camping ministry at Living Springs possible. Our encouragement for the future is the knowledge that as young people come to camp and commit their lives to Jesus, we are not only saving souls, but lives.